this is Graham and welcome to my review of the Koni Yellow or Koni Sport Shocks. Sorry that the install was not very informative. We ran into some issues. It wasn't anything to do with the shocks, and it wasn't anything to do with their fitment. It was having to do with the shop that installed my lowering springs. There were some bolts that had gotten cross-threaded, so it was kind of a pain. So I only filmed like the first half of it really, which you guys saw. But we'll move on from that now. Just wanted to say sorry that it wasn't a step-by-step guide. I kind of intended it to be, and then I wasn't able to make it that. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get into the review. I've had these on my car now for, I think, a week, 2 weeks. I guess it's only been a week. But let me say right off the bat that I absolutely love them. I've had the time to take the car to the mountains. I've had the time to take the car down some back roads and really test these things out, really see what they're like. And they're, in my personal opinion, they are incredible. But I also did come from the stock shocks that I had on this car for a total of 95,000 miles. So as you guys can imagine, they were pretty far gone. They weren't really doing anything to dampen my car in any way. So being able to switch from some worn out stock shocks to some adjustable sport shocks that are intended for sportiness, I mean, it has made an absolute world of difference on my car. And I have to say, the car just feels so balanced, so well just tied together, so well composed through the corners and everything now. And I get all of that while having a very nice ride quality. Sure, it's a little bit stiffer than it was before. Obviously, it's stiffer than the blown out shocks were, but they're stiffer than the stock shocks were. But not in a bad way, because these are Konis, and Koni has a reputation for a reason. They're nice shocks. They're very nice. I was going for kind of a middle of the road, something that's going to be nice on a daily driver, but that's going to give me the option of, kind of turning it up a notch and really being able to like hammer it around a track if I really want to. So I have to say that with the adjustability on these shocks, it has made them the perfect, just middle of the road shock for me. I can adjust them down, make them more comfortable if I'm going to do a long road trip, and then turn them up when I go up to the mountains or go to the track or something when I want them to be a little bit more stiff, and keep the car a little bit more balanced. But I have to say, when I first put them on, I went ahead and I stuck them in kind of a mid-level setting. I went a little bit stiffer up front than out back, because this car obviously has a live axle, and you want it to be a little bit softer to control that, and to help with that kind of uneven dampening that you get from the live axle. Obviously, it picks up more bumps and stuff, and kind of throws the car off balance a little bit easier. But I have to say, it's been so incredible so far, and has made an immense difference in the driving, just in the experience, and just being able to actually toss my car through in a corner now and it stay flat is just incredible. And of course, I will go ahead and mention that I do have these shocks paired up with a pair of Ford Racing springs. They're the N springs, the ones that were built specifically for the Mustang V6. And I mean, they're kind of like a match made in heaven. These shocks they're really meant to be used with lowering springs, not the stock springs. So kind of having it all tied together and all just like, having it all come together, it's awesome. It is so awesome, and I could not be happier. One thing that surprised me about these, that obviously doesn't really matter to me, is that Koni claims that they're 5-way adjustable, and when you go to adjust it, I was kind of expecting like coilovers, you know, how coilovers click when you turn the little knob. These don't do that. These just turn. Obviously, they reach an end point on both ends, whether they're fully stiff or fully soft. But, you know, not having that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of click, that kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, it kind of makes it so that you can't adjust them exactly the way that you want them. I mean, you can adjust. You just have to spend a little bit more time with it. You have to concentrate on it a little bit more. It's not a big deal, obviously. What I did was I just did half turns, just counted them, because Koni does give you the little adjuster knobs. It's easy to see how many times you turn it around, but it also doesn't turn around a full 5 times. I think it's actually more than 5 times that it turns all the way around. So it kind of, there's no real way to know where 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are. And I'm not sure that there even actually is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think it's just kind of an idea that, you know, it has fully stiff and fully soft. So I just kind of counted the number of times that I turned it, did the same thing on the opposite side, and then went up front, did it a little bit differently, made it a little bit stiffer up front. But it's just something you kind of need to pay attention to when you go to adjust these. Just kind of figure out where the top and the bottom are, and then go from there. But yeah, it's an easy install. The rear is a lot easier than the front is, or just not quite as, it's not as complicated, because the live rear axle makes working on the rear end of these cars so much easier than an independent rear suspension would. But needless to say, I got it all on. It didn't take that long. It wasn't that difficult. So, I mean, I definitely think that you could do it with, I mean, as long as you have your own hand tools and everything, I think you'll be all right. I think you can do it for yourself. Of course, you can have a shop do it. I didn't have a shop do it, so I can't give you a quote on how much it costs for me to have them installed. But it is an easy install, so I can't imagine that a shop would charge out the roof for this job. But again, it's not that difficult to do yourself. Just make sure you get a spring compressor, and make sure that you have the proper tools. And it's really not hard. It's really not. But yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say about these shocks. I absolutely love them. I think that you would too if you put them on your car. But with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys all so much for watching. As always, please leave a like, subscribe, and take it easy.